Mm. Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace here, dropping in on you. I hope that everybody's to this point having a great day. We're at the proverbial hump day, middle of the week. It's a time for reflection. Look at the goals that you set at the beginning of the week. Look at your projections and make some adjustments if necessary. Give yourself a chance to be in process while celebrating any progress that you have made. There are going to always be challenges. There are always going to be disruptions. That's life. That's how things work. Your responsibility is to work through it. Your responsibility is to find a way to get through it. There's absolutely no problem that you're going to face that you don't have the access to the answer to. Every problem has a solution. That's the way the world operates. The thing is you have to understand your access to it. You have to understand the process of faith, the process of inner energy generated by assumptions and beliefs and how they impact your life. We're going to continue on. This week is dedicated to an infusion of how things work and impact your ability to create wealth, to generate money, to earn money, to create revenue streams. And we're going to try to stick with the themes as we move forward. So today is Relationship Wednesday. So we're going to talk about how relationships impact your ability to create money, generate wealth, earn money, whatever. Before we do that, I want to remind you that if you want to get serious about financial literacy, to really understand how money works, how it operates, the way that you need to think about money, you can enroll in the financial literacy course. It's called Financial Literacy 101 and Beyond. The link is in there. If you're a person, and listen up carefully, if you're a person who has these ideas, these visions, these dreams, these aspirations, but you never take action, or you're constantly rebutted in your desires by your beliefs, it means that your paradigms that have been shaped by your environment, by those who are influential in your life early on, those are the lenses you're seeing life through. And if your lenses say that poverty is your lot in life, you're going to have to shift that paradigm. You're going to have to change that paradigm. If your paradigm says that this is all you'll probably ever make in life because, whatever the because is, you're going to have to shift that paradigm. If your paradigm says you're going to have to wait until somebody gives you permission, or somebody recognizes or discovers you, or sees your talent, then you're going to have to shift those paradigms. You're going to have to take control of your life and see the power that you have to achieve the things you desire, despite all of the external forces that may be moving against you. You are the determining factor in how you end up in this world. All of the things happening outside of you are simply things you have to work through, figure out, and overcome. But it's going to be up to you, and you need to shift paradigms. I created, a few years ago, I created this awesome course called The Power of Paradigms, and it shows you in 5 to 7, depending on which level you take. There's the basic level, there's the advanced level, and then there's a level that's about mental dynamics. It's more about how you're thinking and how you're moving. It's not the entire thing, but it definitely helps. But anywhere from 5 to 7 steps, you learn how to literally create and shift paradigms, create new paradigms. And your paradigm is so powerful, it's going to govern your behavior. People are operating out of paradigms that never challenge, that won't allow them to meet the challenge of moving higher, because they believe it's impossible through whatever mechanism or idea that is supporting it. That's the belief. You have to overcome that. And so the link for that is also in the post box, description box, depending on where you want to hear that. Either way, either one of those courses is definitely going to put you ahead of where you are right now and what you're trying to accomplish. I encourage you to, if you can't get both, at least get one, depending on where you are struggling. If you are sitting up and you know what you want, but you can't move forward, or you keep hitting a wall, the Power of Paradigms course. If you want to understand the whole money enigma, Financial Literacy 101. In order to win in the game, you got to understand the game. It's that simple. So many of us have been given erroneous ideas about how money works, how to build wealth. You cannot save yourself to wealth. Let me tell you. I had my work, save some money, put it to the side, blah blah blah. That's not going to build wealth. It's actually going to hurt you. And I talked about that during this week, and I'm going to talk about it some more. But I just wanted to put that out there. So if you haven't gotten, you have never taken one of those courses, definitely try it. They're doing well. I just, wanted to introduce them. I don't always introduce most of the stuff I do. Normally I stick to talking about the books and stuff like that. But there's a lot that's going on at the Vision Index Institute that we're absolutely proud about. We are meeting our goal this year of changing the lives of 1 million people. And it has to be done systematically. Obviously, I can't go out and personally meet 1 million people and do what I do on one-on-one. Now, I still believe that what I do one-on-one with my clients is the best encounter for me and for them. We are doing some crazy, unbelievable things, but not everybody can afford that. But everybody needs to find a way to afford getting something in front of you that's going to help you change your life. If you can't work with me directly, get the financial literacy course. Let that start you. I have one person that started with that, went to the Power Paradigms, and then ultimately purchased the Platinum package. Work with me for a complete year. It's how you want to do it. But what I can tell you is that you need to take steps. And, if I'm not the guy for you, you need to find somebody that you believe in, that if you sit down with them for a certain amount of time, or if you take information from them, there's something that's going to happen in your life. You can't, this whole self-made, I did it by myself thing is an illusion. Nobody's self-made. And you don't have time to hope somebody's going to come along, see your potential, and agree to mentor you. You need to take action and make that happen on your own. Now, with that being said, let me move on. Today is Relationship Wednesday, so we're going to talk about how relationships impact your ability to earn money, generate wealth, create revenue, the whole money relationship connection. There's a saying, and you've probably heard it before, that you are ultimately going to be the average of the 5 people you spend the most time around. Well, you can take that and narrow that and make it laser sharp and say, basically, your earning potential is going to be very, very close and related to the 5 people you spend the most time around. Those people who you are closely related to, you talk to all the time, you hang out with, or whatever, a significant amount of time with. You're going to be the average of that. Somebody may make $10,000 more than somebody else, or somebody may make $5,000 less than somebody else, but there's going to be a proximal connection between the average, because there's an influence. One of the greatest thing, hey, how you doing out there? Good morning to you as well. One of the most powerful things my 11th grade English teacher taught me, and she would constantly remind me of this. She had been aware of me since I was an underclassman and made sure I was in her class when I got to the 11th grade. So she had been mentoring me, counseling me, teaching me, just always, it's like she saw something in me and she wasn't going to allow me to get caught up in all the distractions and lose myself. And so she was always in front of me. And the one thing she would tell me every time she saw me with somebody that she thought wasn't a good influence, she would call me over and say, son, association brings about assimilation. And what she was saying is, you hang around somebody long enough, you start to act like them. You start to pick up their habits. You start to behave. Yes, you'll pass some of your habits on to them, but there's an exchange of behavior. There's an exchange of thinking. And if they don't have the right thinking, you're picking up some things that are not going to be beneficial to you. Euripides said it, and the Apostle Paul repeated it. What Euripides said in the book of in one of his letters to the Corinthians, the church in Corinth, and it says that do not be deceived. Evil company corrupts good habits. And what does all that mean? That means that the people you're around the most are going to influence your behavior in a number of different ways. There is a certain type of thinking that produces a certain type of income. There's a certain way of approaching things that produces a certain avenue towards building wealth. And if no one in your circle is on that mindset, if no one in your circle you need some people in your circle that are ahead of you, headed in the direction you're headed in, but ahead of you. You need others who have the same mindset and the same push and the same drive to get to the same destination. Y'all are going to walk it together. You're going to encourage one another. You're going to hold each other accountable. But you need people in your circle that are thinking and talking money. If you got friends and the thing you don't talk about because it's taboo is money, you don't have to tell somebody how much money you have in your bank account. You don't have to tell people how much you're struggling with your bills. That's not what I'm talking. But you should be talking about ways to improve your financial situation with your friends. If that's not a conversation you're having within your circle, you need to rethink your circle. That's something I talk about a great deal, is guarding your periphery and purposely constructing your periphery, those who are around you, in a manner that is suitable to produce the desired results you want in your life. You can't have a bunch of negative people around you when you want a positive outcome. You can't have a bunch of people that have been convinced that poverty is their lot in life, or being a low middle class earner is their lot in life, or to think once they hit, high five figures that they've arrived. Then, and this isn't me taking shots at anybody, because everybody has a journey, but you have to have in your mindset how you want to live. Now, if you are a person that says, man, if I can get $70,000, $80,000 a year, I don't have to have an elaborate lifestyle. That's not my thing. I just want to invest in some mechanisms that are going to allow me to achieve independence. And then you can be around people who are thinking like that. Now, here's my thing. It's not the amount of income you have. I've said this before, even when it comes to financial success. Now, you've heard how I define success as a whole. Even when you're talking about financial success, it's not the amount of money. It's the money, how it's generated, and does it support the lifestyle that you desire? Because not everybody desires a yacht. I don't want a yacht. Now, the wife and I was watching a movie a while back, and we saw it. I was like, well, I don't know, maybe, but just playing around with the thought. But that was, somebody wants a yacht, and the other person says, look, man, give me a nice home in a nice area, a nice dependable vehicle every 4 years or 5 years or whatever. And then when you're able to create the mechanisms that generate that revenue without you working, you're financially independent. Just like the billionaire who lives their life through the same means. It's not the amount of money, it's that you are able to support your lifestyle without having to report to a job or your own business or whatever it is. You have created mechanisms that are going to consistently earn you money moving forward. And that's financial independence. And that's what I teach people when we're talking financial literacy about retirement. One of the worst things in the world that's happened to mental health in the aging is the idea of retiring at 65. Why? Because when you retire, you stop thinking on that level of whatever it took you to be competitive in your industry. You relax your thinking, and your mind and your brain starts to go into decline. And it is shown that when you stay alert, if you look at a person right now that I can think of right out the box that doesn't have to work another day in their life, that gets up and goes to work every day, is Warren Buffett. And he's still sharp as a tack. Why? Because he continues to work. We were never meant to retire. Your purpose doesn't end at 65. That whole idea of working and the cost of what happens. See, they don't want to take care of you with insurance and all that other stuff after 65, because there are other things that might pop up just associated with age. And plus, they can get somebody cheaper to do the job at a younger age. So this whole retirement at 65 thing has people messed up. Your goal should be to be set by 50, 55, 60, latest 65, to where your financial mechanisms are in play. And if you want to chill, you can, but you should be out there touching the world. See, you got to think, money is a result. It's not the means. Money is simply a result of doing what you were meant to do, and that's touch lives, help people. And see, the more people you help, the more money you make. When you understand who you are and why you're here, you can sit up and create a way that you can touch lives systematically. I mean, just create things that people get. Every time I create a book, what I've done is I've created a deployable asset that has the ability to help people. Now, the deployable asset, what is that? That means I created it once, I put it out there, and every time someone new picks it up, they learn something that can help them, and I get a return. I never have to create it again, so it's systemized. And so there are the programs I just mentioned earlier are systemized. You're going to pick it up, you get helped, I get paid, and that's how. So the more you help people, the more money you earn. But the thing is, you don't stop helping people at 65. When you do, when you go back and all I'm gonna do is just lay around, chill, watch TV, go fishing, you start to experience decline mentally, emotionally, and even physically. And this is scientifically proven. Those who stay alert and stay focused, my thing is I'm gonna keep working until I stop breathing. Now that doesn't mean that I'm working because I have to. I'm working because I get joy out of what I do. I'm passionate about it. And so that's the focus. That's how you have to be able to do that. So look, this is what I'm saying. You got to have people around you that are going to drive you towards that. You got to have people around you that are thinking towards that. You got to have people around you that are constantly raising the standard, and the convictions of their presence drive you to be better. When you are sitting around people who are good and locked in, you know, hey, this is it, I'm good, then that's where you're going to be. And if that's not where you want to be, get what I say. There's nothing wrong with a $60,000 a year gig. If that 60,000, now here's where the problem comes in. If that 60,000, first of all, if that $60,000 gig comfortably supports the lifestyle that you want to live without any stresses and worries about anything, first of all, and that you can take from that 60,000 enough money to put into annuities, index funds, and other things that will create a duplicate of that job, because you can't hold the job forever. Also, the job doesn't belong to you, it belongs to your employer. And when you retire or when you die, that job goes to somebody more than likely unrelated to you. You can't pass it on as generational wealth. So what you want to do is, if I'm holding a job, I've got to be finding out how I'm going to make the job work for me, not just in buying material goods, but in creating a new stream of income that will support me with or without the job. And so that's where the mindset comes in. But you have to have people around you thinking like that. The thing is, if you don't have people in your circle who are talking money, you got a problem when it comes to money. Because there should be dialogue about everything that matters to you. Why? Because you don't know everything. And if you don't never create dialogue with people who may know things you don't know, you're never going to learn. So the best way to learn is keep a circle that challenges you to know. So you get around people who know about mutual funds, which I am not a fan of, and indexing, which is passively managed mutual funds, which I'm crazy about, in the right situation and understanding them. There's an average return annually of 9.2% on index funds, which are passively managed mutual funds. So it would be foolish not to have a certain amount. You don't want to go all in on it, but you definitely want to have something in that area. Annuities can work good as far as income creation when you know what you're doing and you got the right person working for you. It's so many different things. Definitely the acquisition of real estate, both residential and commercial, and property. You want those things because they're hard assets. They're going to be able to move through the volatility of the rise and fall of the market. The market is going to go up and down. It has for over a century, going up and down on an average, and it vacillates, but on an average of every 5 years, there's a correction. So it becomes inflated, what we call a bubble, because prices and values are being overstated, and people are buying and buying and buying, which again is consistently driving the value up, but the value is fake, it's false. It's solely moving off of how many people are buying in and not what the true value is. The market has proven that it will correct itself. And the bigger the balloon or the bubble, the greater the correction and the steeper the fall. But what we learn is, in that situation, that fall, when the market overcorrects or corrects steeply, and it goes beyond beyond just a correction and it's in crisis or a crash, that's when the big hitters come out. Why? I believe it was Ray Dalio, who runs the largest hedge fund in the world. I think it's something like $165 billion hedge fund. But he said, and I'm probably paraphrasing him, but he said that the stock market is the only place where things go on sale and people panic. And that's how investors think. When the market crashes and stocks drop, there are companies that are in there with diminished values in their stocks at the time that have proven over and over again that they survive these events and they come back, they rebuild, and they grow stronger. And that's where crisis investors are coming in and buying these stocks at pennies on the dollars and holding. And I tell people all the time, one of the simple things you got to learn in investing is that you don't lose until you sell. You haven't experienced a true loss until you sold. So like if you go out and you buy a property, forget the stock market. You go out and buy a property and all of a sudden real estate takes a hit. And the property, you bought it, it was valued at 200,000. Let's keep it simple, 200,000. And it takes a hit and now it's only worth 130,000. And you're saying, I've lost 70,000. No, you haven't lost it until you sell that property and only get 130,000 for it. Then you've lost it. If you hold it, the market is coming back to you. Is it a chance that it may not immediately or within the first few years get back to that original 200? Yes, but it's going to recover a lot of that. So your total loss is never going to be the immediate hit you take. It may get worse for a while, but it will get better. The market corrects itself. And one of the markets that have stood the test of time is the real estate market. You just got to understand that. And these are conversations that when you have the right people in your circle, you're actually talking about it. And through talking about it, you're learning terminology, you're learning patterns, you're learning practices, strategies, techniques, all of these things that are a part of building. There's no difference from you and the billionaire, except what the billionaire knows, who the billionaire knows, and the ability to practice what they know. That's it. There's nothing that can stop you from doing it. Now, it takes a different mindset to move into six figures than it does to stay in five. It takes another change and shift in mindset to move consistently into 7 and 8 figures. And then there's an entirely new monster in 9 figures. And then you ever notice there are people who have been worth 400 million and 600 million forever, and they just fluctuate up and they never go they haven't switched. They're still trying to get there. And you study taking hits and losses. Your net worth is never staying at the same as far as the moves you're making, because you've got to make moves, you got to take risks, and you're taking some hits along with your gains. That's a part of it. And so you can kind of just fire up in here. You win some, you lose some, you kind of get up in here because you're still playing the game the same. You haven't evolved. There's a whole nother level of thinking to become a billionaire. And you've got to be around people who understand it to know how to make the move. And who knows? There are those aberrations like the lady, I cannot think of her name, the lady who created Spanx. She just created something that blew up and she was able to leverage it. And still she had to have the right people in her mind to get her to leverage it and know how to leverage it to move into billionaire status. But she didn't have to systematically do it the way a lot of other people did it, like Warren Buffett and so many other people. She was able to leverage one big idea into it. And you see other people do that as well. But the bottom line is, how many people in your circle do you have that's talking money? How many people in your circle do you have that believe the only way they're going to make it in life, somebody gives them a job, somebody pays them a certain amount of money, and they're pretty much thinking they're locked in at that value of whatever it is? How many people that think that they're only worth whatever degree they got? And if, because I got a bachelor's or because I got a master's or because I got doctors, I'm worth this amount of money, and not really knowing the value of who they are as a person and the way they think and the gifts. See, I'm gonna tell you something. Your doctorate cannot come close. Your doctorate, your master's, your bachelor's, your certifications and whatever you're certified in cannot come close to your gifting. Your natural inherent talent that was a part of who you were when you were birthed into this world. Most of us haven't even groomed it. Most of us haven't even nurtured it. Most of us haven't even taken a look at it to determine and understand how it should be used to help others. Most people don't even get the dynamic of how things work. Any business is a real simple transaction when you look at it. I have the ability to solve your problem. I'm going to solve your problem in a different and better way than anybody else has ever been able to solve your problem. And this is what I'm going to demand of you in return. Some people are going to balk on it, but others are going to say, you know what, I'll pay that price. That is your value of exchange. It's that simple. Whose problems are you solving? You identify that first based off of your gifting. How does my gift translate into helping people? It's that simple. The more people I help, the more money I create, the more money I earn. It's real simple. I make money by helping people. And if you're putting money first, you're going to get frustrated a lot. You're also going to put your morals and your character and your integrity at risk. But when you sit up and say, my goal is to help people and the money will come, you start saying, how can I help more people? How can I add more value to what I do when I help people? And then all of a sudden now you're starting to see, man, I can do it this way. I can do it that way. Some people aren't going to get it this way, so I'll do it that way for them. And then you start to say, man, there's so many different ways that I can help people. And then now all I do is I systemize it. Why? Because I want to make the income unlimited. And what does that mean? That means that if I'm doing something that requires my time, like the thing I love doing the most requires my time, but I have to make it be something I want to do and not something I have to do. See, if I'm doing something that requires my time for me to earn money, my earning potential in that particular instance is limited to the amount of time I have. But if I can systemize products, I can systemize services so where someone can come and say, you know what, this is the program I need by the program, be helped by the program, and I not have to be there. There's no limit to how many people can do that. So there's no limit to the income. So you have to find ways to make sure that you're not limiting your income by being the person that has to be there. And a lot of us, we have to get out of that ego setting too. And what do I mean by that? A lot of us want to be the man. We want to be the woman. We've got to be that person. You can't do it without me. And while that sounds good, and it points to your uniqueness and your giftedness, and that nobody can do it like you, here's the problem. You are the cog in the wheel. When you're that person that can, it all flows through you. It can't be done without you. You are the cog in the wheel. You're what makes it turn. Here's the problem. The cog is also the clog. Because when the cog isn't present, the wheel doesn't move. When the cog is having a bad day, the wheel doesn't move as efficiently. That is not how you serve. How you serve is you create something that's consistent all the time. And so that way you have to make it be something that can work whether you're there or not. All of this is mindset. But again, it starts at what point? The point that you surround yourself with the type of people that are going to challenge you to raise your level. And yes, that's going to mean that you're going to spend less time around some people you really care about. Some of the people that you are really getting yourself together for can't be in your circle while you're doing it, because they are conditioned to think negative. They're conditioned to think in minimal-minded ideas. They are conditioned to sit up and remind you of where you come from. They are conditioned to sit up and find all the reasons why what you're thinking you want to do won't work. That's what they have been conditioned to do. You have to change that. You have to sit up and say, you know what, I love you. I'm going to stop by, I'm going to check on you, I'm going to call you every now and then, but we can't kick it like that right now. I got something I got to do. When I get myself together, I'm going to be back for you. And see, once you get yourself together and they see you doing what you're doing and they say, well, what's up with that? Now they believe. Now you can come back, you can talk to them, you can share them, because now they see what you were doing. But when you're trying to get there, they will be a constant gnat flying around your ear with nothing but annoying, negative things to say that will drive you into a place of negative energy and make everything you're trying to do that much more difficult. You've got to know what you're doing. The first circle you get, you inherit it. You're born into it. Your siblings, your parents, your schoolmates, your classmates. The second circle is the one you build yourself. And you do it with care, you do it with concern, you do it with focus. You know what it is you want, and you sit up and say, I'm going to need a person who thinks like this in my circle. I'm going to need a person who is really, truly a friend, who believes in me. Not a yes person, a friend. See, a friend will call you on your BS. but they're going to always follow it up with, you know, you're better than that. Instead of, it's not to tear you down, it's to tell you you're not doing what you could be doing. And you need one. You need a friend that's saying, you could be doing this better than this. Remember when you said you were going to do this? What happened? You need that person. You need a person that's going to ask you challenging questions about the thing you want to accomplish, in this case, money. Yeah. So how are you going to generate this type of revenue? What mechanisms are you going to use to systemize your income or your services? You know, how can you get that out without having to be there? How are you going to brand what you do in a way that people know it's you, recognize it, and want it? Those are questions and things that people who understand how things work have. You need those people in your circle. I cannot stress that enough. You need people who are talking about money if you want to be about money. You need people who are talking on a level you don't understand. And that's another thing we got to get over. We got to get over that I've got to be in the know on everything. I can never be that person in the room that is really gleaning from everybody. I've got to be the guy that everybody's looking at. And my grandfather told me a long time ago, he said, "You're a real smart kid. You know, I wish I could have been as smart as you growing up." He said, "But the biggest challenge you're going to have to fight your entire life is wanting to be the smartest person in the room." He said, if all you are ever is the smartest person in the room, you're not going to reach half of your potential. You need, he says, if you look up and you're the smartest person in the room, change rooms. You've outgrown it. When you're the smartest person in the room, you've outgrown the room. Find a room with people who are smarter than you. And that's what I do. I'm always looking for people who know things I don't know. It doesn't intimidate me. It doesn't make me feel any kind of way. It gets me excited because I'm about to move to another level. So you got to get out of that mindset of being be uncomfortable. Be uncomfortable with intent. With that being said, look, I'm gonna get out of here. I got a lot to do, but I had to drop that on you. Like I said, if you want to learn more about financial literacy 101 and beyond, the link to the course is in the description box or the post box, depending on where you're watching this. If you want to learn how to shift paradigms, and that's important. If you grew up on a paradigm that's got you hung in being an employee, or hung in being you know, poverty stricken, or just barely making it, or trying to get through, you got to shift the paradigm. That thinking is never going, the thinking you are housing in that, through that paradigm, the beliefs and the assumptions that come with that paradigm are never going to allow you to escape your reality. Your paradigm has you locked into reality. The way you move from one reality to the next is to shift paradigms. And so the link on shifting paradigms, the Power of Paradigms course, is also in there. So have a great day. I'm about to jump off of here. You guys have an awesome day, and I'll see you tomorrow, which is Business Thursday. Have a great day. As I always say, live your life on full so that when you leave this place, you die on E. That's my goal when I wake up every morning. Get as much out of this day as I possibly can. I'm challenging you to do the same thing. And that's it. I'm out.